those of you that know Hillary and I know that we've definitely done some interior painting over the years, and the paint application has always been brush and roller, obviously emphasis on rollers, and anybody that's done that knows it's quite slow. So with the size of the project that we're working on now, renovating this house to get it to sale, we thought maybe we should look into airless sprayer. So we finally, after researching, went ahead and pulled the trigger on that, and this is what we got right here. It's the Graco Magnum X5. It's available at Home Depot and a bunch of other places, and this video is just going to be me demonstrating setup, because if you're like us, I think one of the biggest things was, you know, how big of a ordeal is it to simply set these up and then to use them. What's the ease of use, and again, what's involved in cleaning them afterwards, and just really how complex of a piece of equipment is this. And I really think that that's kind of a daunting thing out there for the, you know, the home renovation level of user. And of course expense is an issue too, but I think if memory serves correctly, I think that we paid in the ballpark of $275 for this unit. So it's kind of a very minimal pro grade unit. It develops 3,000 psi, and it will drive up to 75 feet of line. And there are various tips for different spray patterns that are attachable to the gun. So we just finished assembling this back to the spray position. Everything is set up. You just watched that. A couple things I wanted to point out is that you may want to adjust higher than the basic start position. They're recommending spray positions being all the way up as high as there, and I've not tried it that high, but I find that the spray is a little bit more uniform and easier to work with, a little bit higher than the start position, which is really considered the lowest pressure setting for spray. So you'll want to experiment with that. Another thing I want to point out before I get going, we're using the small gallon buckets, and they do go fairly fast. The whole process goes a lot faster than you'll ever accomplish with a roller, and it'll get away from you. You do not dare let that get low enough that it loses prime, and it'll lose prime well before it's fully empty because that strainer is on there. So when it's about that deep, you're going to start to lose prime, and if you lose prime, you have to go through the entire process you just watched with me, or most of it, in order to regain prime. It will not self-prime. So you have to go through the entire process of priming it before you can spray more. So it's highly advisable that you either really keep a close eye on this, even with a 5-gallon you need to, but especially with the 1-gallon buckets. It's best if you just have a helper to continually add into this bucket so that you never run out. So those are things that we noticed that were critical, you know, for the beginner. Obviously we're not advanced users here, but we're already getting a quality result, which we like. And that really is one of the good things about this. As far as operation, as you'll see, it's not that sophisticated. You can get a really nice result easily. So. Last words. PPE is critical, and you'll notice it quickly if you don't try to use PPE. It'll get in your eyes, it'll get in your lungs. These are thicker droplets. My understanding is that you don't have to have a full respirator with removable, you know, spin-on filters. At least, especially at a, you know, amateur, very occasional level of use with this equipment. But bare minimum, you need this, and you need these safety glasses. It's going to get in your hair and other places. So you have to be aware of that. You might just want a full painter's hood, but bare minimum, this is the bare minimum that you want to use. When this is pointed that direction, you're spraying. When it's pointed this direction, you're actually backfeeding the nozzle there and blowing debris out. And if you trigger it, in this situation, when the thing is running, it'll just shoot a very narrow stream of paint. But the purpose of that is to purge the nozzle. So.
Some of the places we sprayed down and across and back up again without stopping the spray, and you can tell that that was incorrect procedure. As we pull up the tape here at the bottom, got a really thick layer of paint, so it went on way too thick at the bottom when we did that. But it didn't run. Amateurs, we are doing it improperly. It didn't run, so that's a good thing. Here's a little evidence of why it's so important to tape properly. And so you have to constantly check to make sure that your tape is pressed down properly. This is a gap between two strips of tape that I put down before we painted, and the paint got down in between both. I'm going to try the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. For this project, you'll need the Graco Magnum X5 Airless sprayer or something equivalent. I used 4 gallons of paint on this project. Painter's plastic sheeting, I used 0.31 mil thickness. Lots of painter's tape, goggles, mask, and that's the waste that came, plastic waste that came from this project. This room's 30 by 12, 360 square feet. Used 4 gallons of paint for ceiling and walls. Earlier Mike said that this took about 45 minutes to paint. I think that time got away from him. I'd say that this room here took about an hour and a half total. That's ceiling and walls to paint. It took me 2 days to prep it, putting the plastic down, taping everything off. Taping all the baseboards, taping off the carpet, the light fixtures, all of the wall outlets.